What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another review for Daredevil Born Again. Today we're going to be reviewing episode 5 and 6, which they dropped at the same time. I was not expecting that at all, but here we are, and we're going to be reviewing both of them. It's going to be interesting because, honestly, I don't think we are going to have a whole lot to talk about, especially for episode 5. We might have a little bit more to talk about with episode 6, but episode 5 is kind of weird. I kind of understand why they dropped both of them at the same time, to be honest. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about it. It's gonna be just Lethal and I. Mike's still off, naked in the woods somewhere. Who knows? And then Mazda
also naked in the woods with Mike.
Mazda decided to join Mike. So last week when we said that, Mazda was like, "Ooh," and then he took off. So here we are. So you guys know how those two are. But Lethal, how you doing tonight?
I am well. I also was caught by surprise by the double release, which is so weird because Moz told me that it was a double release, and I googled it, and everywhere I looked said it was one episode a week going forward. So
yeah. Yeah, I literally did not hear anything about that, so I don't know if this is just like a weird like last-minute decision that they made, or if this was just something that I just totally missed, but it was kind of bizarre. But like I said, I kind of understand why they did this, so I don't know if you have a whole lot to say about episode 5, but to be honest, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it.
Not really. Bank robbery, they tried to do the switcheroo like in what's it called, The Inside Man, that bank robber movie. Yeah, that was pretty much it. No, seriously, I'm not even exaggerating. That was pretty much it. There was somewhat of a fight scene at the end.
Yeah, literally, like the entire episode was just like this. It felt like a separate. It felt almost like a filler episode in a weird way to the show, which doesn't make much sense because the show isn't like an anime where it has like, you know, dozens and dozens of episodes. So I don't understand why, but for some reason this just felt like a filler episode where it was like Daredevil or Matt Murdock, I should say. He was like in the bank, and then like these robbers like held everyone hostage, and they were trying to get like a single diamond from the vault. And then, you know, Matt Murdock eventually takes out, you know, some of the robbers and tricks the rest of them into him ending up keeping the diamond, and then he gives it to, well, I guess that was kind of the weird thing about this episode was that Miss Marvel's dad was in this episode. That was kind of a weird thing. I don't like the entire like first 5 minutes of this episode was again another thing where it's like nothing relevant happened the first 5 minutes. It was like them talking about them not wearing green for St. Patty's Day and I'm Kamala's dad and all this type of stuff, and it's like, you know, those little kind of on the nose references that they were making for Miss Marvel and stuff, and it's like, okay, Miss Marvel references in a Daredevil show. That's kind of weird and random, but okay. And then
this whole episode could have been like a 15-minute side plot.
Yeah.
It could have actually been the start to episode 6.
Yeah,
and
it really
followed it.
Yeah. Like, the episode was fine, I guess, as like an episode. Like, there wasn't really anything like too dumb or, you know, offensive in the episode per se.
Hear me out. There's actually an argument that this is the greatest epised.
It has
no BB news.
Yeah, that's true. That is kind of true. Overall, it was kind of like it was okay, I guess. I just don't know like where this fits into the overall story, you know? Like it just feels like it's so disconnected from the rest of it that I'm just like, why was this episode even really a thing? It felt like that they were just trying to make like a St. Patty's episode in a weird way.
Yeah, and even the bank robbers are Irish. You know, like this whole thing is just...
But
then they get like the cop negotiator. She has to tell him a joke, and like the punchline of the joke ends up being like a leprechaun's having sex with a penguin, and you're like, hey, that's kind of a funny joke, but like, was the whole episode written just so they could write that joke into the show somewhere?
Yeah,
like some writer really thinks that's the greatest joke of all time.
He probably like, I don't know, asked Chat GPT for a joke or something. It's like, I need a joke. ChatGPT, help me out, please. Man.
That's actually the one thing. No, there is one thing that stood out to me in this episode. Is so The guy that's robbing the bank tells the cop negotiator, you got to come up with a joke for me. And she goes and asks all the cops, does anyone have a joke? And they all got none. It's like, what? You don't just go Google bank robber jokes, enter. There you go. Done.
So, I mean, I don't know if there's like something important about that diamond. It didn't look like a normal diamond. So I don't know if that's like something that is like going to be important for the future or something.
Maybe it's an infinity stone.
Ooh, oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh no. They're just going to do the whole Endgame and Infinity War saga all over again, bro. They're just going to, like, we don't know what else to do. We're just going right back to the drawing board, guys. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, that's about all I have to say about this episode, to be honest. Like,
yeah, it was filler. It very much was filler. The whole thing should have been 15-minute plot intro into episode 6. You could have just strung it all together.
Yeah. But then episode 6 was hype because it opened with BB News. So that was huge. Seeing more BB News content. That's always a plus for these episodes. Love the BB News stuff. Highlight of the episodes for sure. We did see some like guy with a sword as a vigilante in one of the clips, one of the videos that one of the guys had. So.
I couldn't tell who that was supposed to be, but actually, I think this might be the most interesting or episode that's interested me the most so far. It had some scenes that I really liked, and then just some cringe. Like,
yeah,
and a lot of the cringe to me is, I swear everyone keeps forgetting that Wilson was the kingpin. The dude ran the criminal underworld, okay? And that just seems to be completely forgotten in every conversation. 2 parts really jumped out to me, right? The first part, well, I think it was the first one, is when he's putting together that task force, and it's kind of like the bad boys of the police force, the ones that all got in trouble and stuff like that. And he's talking about taking down all these criminals and stuff like that. And not one goes, you're a cop killer. Not one of them ever fucking brings that up.
Right.
So that should have come up in some place. You know, I can totally get down with the idea of the more like aggressive type of police. Maybe they're kind of on board with his idea of justice. You know what I mean? But you'd still think one of them would be like, wait a minute, like, yeah, this is a bit sus. But I also really like the part just before that where he's talking about putting together his own task force, and he goes, yeah, get me like, I've got a stack of people that are like the more ruthless ones. They're going to get, more overtime, because that's kind of a mini plot point, as he's actually cutting back police on the streets and stuff like that, which is a bit of a mob move, actually, more than a mayor move.
Yeah.
And he's saying, like, yeah, they don't have to wear body cams, so whoever they beat up, that's totally cool type of thing,
right.
And then the other part is when he goes to like that fancy dinner and he's trying to get funding for all his like, to fix the ports and all that type of shit. And his wife, Vanessa, is telling him, hey, these people only really care about feeling powerful to give you money. It's like, the dude was in charge of the criminal underworld. He understands that better than anyone.
Yes.
Anyone. Okay?
Yes.
You don't need to explain that to him. Right?
Dude. Oh my
that
gosh.
was kind of cucked. The fact that the wife had to explain that to him. It's like, you're the kingpin. You know this. Right? But then at the same time, when he's actually at the dinner, I didn't mind that at all. When, like, that one girl goes, well, if we're seeing us up, we'll tell them the truth. And he goes, oh, really? We're going to tell the truth? Now we're in my fucking court now. And then he just starts to unload on him and all that type of stuff. And he's like, when the one dude like threatens him, and he just gives him this look like, it's again, like, everyone forgets the dude was in charge of the criminal underworld. Why would you threaten the dude that was the kingpin? Especially when he's looking at you being like, what did you just say? It's like, okay, that's right. I forgot this dude kills their people.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of like females that talk down to the male characters in this episode. I noticed Hector's niece does that a lot in this episode. Dude, she's an annoying little shit.
She's a slap.
Holy crap. Dude, I was hoping that Muse was just gonna like kill her at the end there, bro. I was like, please, just take her out. Let her join her uncle. Dude, oh my gosh. So I guess
here's a quick little fun fact that we never mentioned. Do you know who played White Tiger?
I don't remember his name.
Raul Menendez.
I don't know who that is, to be honest.
Black Ops 2's main villain. That's
really?
Menendez. Yeah.
Really?
That's Menendez.
Oh shit. Oh wow.
And this is the
okay.
last role he ever did before passing away.
Yeah. That's interesting.
How wild
okay.
is that, man? That
I did not
changes
know
the
that.
whole context of everything. Like you're looking at that going, But yeah, a little fun fact.
Okay. I did not know that. That's kind of crazy. So I guess just to kind of give a little bit of a breakdown of what happens in this episode to the audience. So it's just kind of another episode where it's like you see kind of the progression of Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk finally going back into their old ways of being Daredevil and Kingpin again, and that's kind of like where the episode ends with them. At least as far as Matt Murdock and Daredevil goes, a lot more kind of like being back into that old role again. There's a lot of like Muse stuff that happens in this episode too, where we have like Muse like killing people and then like, you know, hanging up their bodies and, you know, putting like
using
blood on
as paint.
Yeah, using the blood as paint and all that type of stuff. And then suddenly like everyone's like, oh my gosh, there's this serial killer that we have to take out. And it's like, again, this is another one of those things where it's like none of this feels earned with the Muse character. Like he just feels like he just kind of like is now suddenly in the show, and he's like this really important thing that all these people are focusing on. And it's like there wasn't really any build up to him. Like we saw like a couple shots in a previous episode of him, but that was about all that we've gotten so far. And then suddenly he's like just like front and center in this episode.
Yeah, he's Jeffrey Dahmer all of a sudden.
Yeah, and it's like none of this feels, and they almost like try to play it off as like that was like the motivating factor for Daredevil to come back, and it doesn't feel earned at all. Like it doesn't make any sense why that would be like the emotional, kind of like trigger point for Daredevil to fully come back again and stuff. It was just kind of bizarre. Yeah.
This also ties in with White Tiger being wasted. See,
Mm-hmm.
you could have had White Tiger, who was like kind of sort of investigating the kidnappings, and that ends up, you know, him leading down into the train station, which is where that shit happens with the cops.
Yep.
And then that kind of leads from one thing into another like that.
Right.
And that way you'd have more connection with his niece.
Yes.
With his niece, right?
Yeah.
But instead, it all just kind of seems to come out of the blue because they wasted a whole episode on a bank robbery.
Yeah.
So it's like now we just got to throw it all in there to play catch up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that last episode really feels like wasted time.
Yeah.
When he comes back when Matt goes back to being Daredevil, they did the swinging again, and it just does not look good. It really doesn't.
It's
all
really
they had
bad.
to do, right, was he rings up the cops because he's going to call the cops instead. Then he says, "Nah, fuck it," and then like he walks off, and you know what he's going to do because he puts the piece of his helmet or mask on the picture of Foggy, and you know he's going to go back to being Daredevil, right? You didn't have to show him swinging or anything like that. You just the next time you see him is when you see him fighting Muse. It's like, you know, just comes swinging in and punches him in the head and the fight's on. Get rid of all that fucking traversal crap because it just does. It looks shit.
It does. It does. It really feels like that they're trying to make him like Spider-Man almost, and it's not working at all. It's like, this is Daredevil. He's not Spider-Man. Stop. Yeah, all that looks like really cringe and super CG, and it's just it's kind of awful. Yeah, so like kind of like what you were talking about, like towards the beginning of this episode, there's like the one like gang member Luca who's basically like roasting Fisk to his face when Fisk was like trying to get him to like pay some debt. And you see like Fisk is like trying to hold it together and not just like effing like, you know, like kill this guy, but it's like telling that he wants to like really badly. But this dude is just like shitting on Fisk like right to his face and telling him that he's like out of the game and all this type of stuff. And then he just lets him go. It's like, bro, like what?
Yeah, like they're trying to play this whole thing. He's like, oh, I added $1 million tax to him. It's like, you should have just have like a little bit of a Godfather scene where you just kind of lean over and just whisper in his ear and you don't hear what he says in his ear. And then you have him walk off being scared, be like, oh shit, that wasn't the mayor. That was the kingpin.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude.
Like, everyone forgets he's the kingpin.
I know. Yeah, they're just like straight up just roasting him to his face about it. Like, you're an old man now. You're out of the game. You're a loser. It's like, bro, like what are you doing? And a lot of people are doing that in this show, which kind of like undermines just how dangerous Fisk actually is. Like, it's like, and Fisk just takes it. He just like bends over, pulls his pants down, and just takes it. It's like, what? That's not at all how Kingpin operates at all. It doesn't matter if he's the mayor or not. He's not going to put up with that shit. Like, we saw him literally decapitate a guy in season 1 of the Netflix Daredevil because he was interrupting a date with Vanessa. And then in this show, we have him like literally almost beating this guy, this Adam guy that basically was like fucking around with Vanessa. He almost beats him to death, but then he doesn't kill him. He just like throws him back into the cell. That I absolutely think he should have killed him there at the end.
I think I know what he's doing there, because he comes down into the cell and gives him the speech, you know, when I was a boy, you know, I used to fight men 3 times my size when I was a lot smaller. And then I realized if you brought an axe, you know, it's a bit more of a fair fight, because Kingpin's massive now. He gives him the axe and gives him a whooping. I think what he's doing is he's just going to keep coming down there and just keep giving him whoopings.
Well, yeah, that's what he has been doing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he's going to, like, bring a different weapon every time until eventually the dude almost wins, and he's going to be like, all right, now I've got something that I can do with you. Well, I don't know. Everyone seems maybe he forgets he's Kingpin as well.
That's kind of what it feels like at this point. It's like I did kind of like I do feel like that as far as like Wilson Fisk goes. I feel like that him coming back as Kingpin is a little bit more earned than what we've seen with Daredevil so far. With Daredevil kind of making his return and stuff. Like the whole Matt Murdock and Daredevil stuff, it feels so disjointed. It doesn't really feel like that there's like a strong motivating factor for him coming back as Daredevil. Yes, we have like Foggy's death and you know what happened with Hector and all that type of stuff, but all of it feels like disjointed, and it doesn't really feel like it has like a clear like through path of what's leading him to become Daredevil again. As far as like
fast tracking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And at least as far as like Wilson Fisk and Kingpin goes, I feel like that we're kind of getting a little bit more consistency with seeing that progression of him coming back as Kingpin. But still, I think it would have been cool if he like killed. I'll say this as well. In the one scene where he's like sitting at the table in the mayor's office, and you see like all of his advisors around him and all of that type of stuff, and he's like looking at the painting, and then he just like starts laughing. Dude, for a minute there, I thought that he was going to just like lose it and just like kill all of his advisors in that room. And dude, that would have been so sick. I would have loved to have seen that, bro. Just him just like trapped in a room with all these people, and they're all just like weak people. They're obviously not going to do much, but just see him just like massacre everyone in that room would have been sick. That would have been awesome, dude.
I giggled a little bit during the fight scene when he's beating him up and he goes, "Mine!" He's talking about Vanessa. All right, buddy. Yeah, I agree though. It definitely feels more earned getting back to Kingpin as opposed to Daredevil, because it's just speed running. Right. But one thing that was interesting with the Daredevil one is he was going to kill Muse at one stage. He was strangling him, and then he dropped him to, you know, go rescue the girl.
The annoying little shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he made the wrong choice there.
Yeah.
He's got to go to. He dropped killing him to go rescue her. And that was almost like a Punisher convinced him that murder good, you know, type of thing, if you kill the right people and all that stuff. So
yeah.
Do you think we're going to get Punisher again in this show, in this season?
Maybe. I don't know.
They name dropped him in this.
They did. Yeah, when he was talking with his girlfriend at the beginning of the episode. I don't know. I honestly, it's kind of difficult to tell. I personally don't think that we're going to see him show back up again at this season. I think that they just kind of like were using that episode as like a launching point for what they want to do with like Punisher and stuff. I don't think we're gonna see him again in this season, to be honest.
Fair, and plus to me it comes across as they are setting up a spin-off for him as well.
Yeah,
but I guess now that this episode's over, is where does it go? So Muse is kind of the unifying villain, I guess, because everyone's going after him now because he's a serial killer. We're slowly getting more Kingpin. And what have we got? Like 3 episodes left?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's there are 9 episodes, I think, right?
So in the span of 3 episodes, Kingpin has to go fully psycho and go back to being Kingpin. So that way we can get the showdown. Oh, man, they really wasted time with that bank robbery episode just to go, oh, Miss Marvel's dad.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's really what it felt like, which makes me wonder if they're kind of like if they're going to have like Miss Marvel running around with, all these street level heroes for like a Defenders thing or not.
The new Defenders.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh, I don't want to see that, bro. I do not want to see that.
I
Holy
don't
crap!
See that either.
But that's probably
all I'm really like fingers crossed for after this episode is I just want to see Kingpin go crazy. I want to see him start offing some people. He hasn't killed anyone this whole show, which is kind of weak. I know he's the whole mayor and all that type of stuff, but it is starting to cross the line from mayor into Kingpin, especially with all like the mob stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I still don't think it's quite there. And again, it just comes back to everyone just conveniently forgets who he is.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, how stupid was that part to go, you're out of the game, old man? It's like, he's the reason you were in the game, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And so far, like, yeah, Fisk has just let everybody just, like, run all over him the entire time. So it's kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't really feel right to me for this character and stuff. So
it took 5 episodes, but we had a cameo of a Daredevil fight and a Kingpin fight. I did like the Kingpin fight, like the way he just uses his strength to just beat him down and stuff like that. That's all cool.
Yep.
Oh, actually, one part I was going to bring up in the last episode is the fight scene right at the end. I reckon that dude put up way too much of a fight against Daredevil.
Yeah.
Especially considering Daredevil jumped him as well.
Yep. I agree.
Smashing him around and everything, and they were like kicking the crap out of each other. Should have just been a quick boom, 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 gotcha.
Yeah, it did kind of feel that way. I do remember thinking that too. Yeah, I do like that he like jumped on his leg and snapped it though. That's pretty sick. That was pretty good. But we did see Wilson Fisk kind of made a comment about him like kind of buffing up as well.
Yes,
in this episode. So that's kind of cool.
He goes to put on his jacket and it tears, and he's like, "Oh, it doesn't fit me anymore," which implies that he is getting stronger and all that again, considering how frail he was at the start. Which I don't know if that was ever addressed in any of the other Disney shows that he was in.
Right.
It does make sense though, considering how badly he was hurt at the end of season 3. But I don't know. Maybe it was addressed somewhere, and if that's the case, then fuck knows.
Yeah. I mean, I remember. Yeah, we did make some comments about like how kind of weak and frail he seemed at first, and it was kind of like, this is Kingpin, really. You could probably like sneeze on him and blow him over, to be honest. And now we're kind of at this point where he's kind of bulking up a little bit, so that's good. That's good to see. Kind of getting a little bit more back into the Kingpin thing. So yeah, I don't know. That's cool.
My big concerns though is, are they going to jam pack so much in these last 3 episodes to try and get everything done? Which is going to be a bit of an issue. I do think this show's had a bit of a pacing problem.
Definitely. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah. But that's probably exactly what they were trying to do. They were like trying to kind of like I don't know, kind of like fluff the first like 6 episodes or so, and then the last 3 will be like crazy, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, look how great the show is, and then it's gonna get everyone hyped for everything else they have going on. So
yay.
yeah, it's kind of what it feels like. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's about all. That's about it.
That really is about it.
Yeah,
not much to say.
I just did not feel like the whole like Daredevil stuff at the end was earned. I was just kind of like sitting there the whole time being like, okay, like what exactly is it that's like motivating Matt to finally put on the Daredevil like cowl again here? And it's like, is it Foggy? Is it Hector? Is it because Muse is running around, this random guy that suddenly everyone's like concerned about and stuff? Like what is it? And they never really gave like a clear answer to any of that. So I don't know. It was just kind of weird. It was just kind of a weird thing.
How come Punisher's never gone after him?
Yeah, that's yeah. That's a good point.
Punisher's hiding out underground as well.
Mm-hmm.
How come he never went after it? If Muse has become public enemy number one, I think Punisher would be like, wait, this dude's going around kidnapping girls and killing them? Nah, fam.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, it was just bizarre how they like made like Muse like such a big deal in this episode. Like Wilson Fisk was literally like putting together like a task force of like anti-vigilante like bad cops to go after him, and then and you know, that's pretty much what everyone was talking about this episode. Like Hector's niece like kind of gave kind of like talked down to Matt at the beginning of this episode and was like, you gotta do something about it, Matt. You gotta step up and do something, and we need a vigilante. And it felt like it was kind of a weird thing for her to like go to Matt Murdock to talk about that. It felt like in a weird way. And
yeah, how convenient.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, talking about we need like a vigilante to show up and do something about this to literally Daredevil. It's like that's
how convenient. Yeah. Obviously, they're setting up this anti-vigilante task force to kind of be the shield between Kingpin and Daredevil when they inevitably clash again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think I heard that was going to be kind of like the main like thing for the Defenders show was like the anti-vigilante task force or something. So
lovely.
Yeah. So that'll be fun, I guess. I don't know.
What the fuck are a bunch of cops gonna do against Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones? What could they possibly do to stop them?
Wait, they have a black guy from Chicago on their team, okay? So like
yeah, they got demoted and thrown out. Oh, he doesn't have a body camera. Good thing Daredevil wears a mask and beats the shit out of people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was something that I thought was kind of funny about the bank robbery episode, was that they like took all the white cops out and then replaced them with like diverse cops, because all the white cops are like out drinking because it was like St. Patty's Day or something. So they had like
which
this
makes no sense, because he even says it. He goes, to my people, and he is Irish. He goes, you know, from my side of Ireland, St. Patty's Day means nothing. It's a Jew at Christmas was his example.
Yeah.
It means fucking nothing. So now he's going to assume that everyone in there is a Catholic Irish cop.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was kind of funny. Oh man. Yeah, so as far as like Vanessa goes, she was kind of weird in this episode. Like it felt like there was a little bit of like a character switch for her, where suddenly she's kind of like more supportive of Fisk in a weird way. She was still like talking down to him quite a bit, where she was like, you know, explaining, you know, what happens to all these rich people and stuff. But she was like smiling and kind of like putting on his jacket, and she was like, when he told her that he had to like leave to go and handle like important business, she was like, okay, Fisk, you go do that and stuff. And it was like, I don't know, that
I don't think it was much of a switch. I still think she's trying to bring back Kingpin, bring him out of his shell, so to speak, which again makes it weird as to why she had to explain to him how these people think and operate. It's like he's sitting there being like, yeah, ran the criminal underground. Yeah, I understand. Like, trust me, those people are way more intense than these guys.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like I wasn't a huge fan of these episodes still, to be honest.
I do think this was the best episode 6, sorry, it's probably the best episode so far. But that's not really saying much, is it?
Yeah. What would you give these episodes for a rating?
Rating episode 5 feels weird.
Yeah.
Because it's, I don't know. I'll just, you know what? I'll give that one a 6. It was filler, but it was bearable. And this episode 6, I'll give it a 6.5.
Okay. Yeah. I'll probably give both the episodes 6 for. I'm gonna give episode 6 a 5. Actually, it still just didn't. I still was just kind of left like wondering what the heck is going on in the episode. There's a lot of bad writing. There's a lot of like nothing feels earned. It just was really sloppy as far as the writing goes. Episode 5 I kind of liked better, actually, just because
Really?
yeah, just because like there wasn't a whole lot of like stupid stuff that was attached to the rest of what's going on with the show. It was like so isolated, and it was just kind of like a simple concept of like, okay, there's like a bank robbery, and Matt Murdock has to take out the robbers and you know, protect the people in the bank and stuff. And I think it almost worked better because of that. Like, it felt like the writers were able to kind of like make something a little more solid just because the concept was simple and it wasn't attached to so much other stuff that was going on in the rest of the show. So, yeah, I'm gonna give that one a 6.
Fair.
Yeah. I do think that the stakes were not that high in that episode, though. That's kind of like my biggest criticism with that episode. Like, the tension wasn't really there. Like, I think that the robbers should have killed at least one of the hostages that they had to kind of like raise the stakes a little bit. They made a lot of threats about them. They pointed their guns at them a lot, but they never did a single thing.
Nothing happened. Yeah, everyone.
Nothing happened, and that kind of, yeah. Like, I could still be like, okay, if this episode was like written in the Netflix show, this would have been like already like 10 times better, because like you would have actually felt like there was some tension going on and stuff.
I also found it kind of silly how he was just able to, because he's in there as a hostage. He walks out of the bank. He's like, my head hurts, you know. It's just pretending that he needs to see a medic so he can get out. And the cop just lets him out. Doesn't go, you know what? This was a hostage situation. Can we get a medic in here, please? Blind man needs a medic. Instead, he just walks out and runs off.
Yeah, they're like, just let him go. Yeah. Just let him go into the wild, man. Oh, man. So, yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say about these episodes, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm still very disappointed in this show. I will plead ignorance on some of this though, because I've watched like 4 episodes of WandaVision. I haven't seen a whole Disney show through. So a lot of people are telling me, they're going, what did you expect? This is what they're all like. I believe you now.
Yeah. Yep. And if people are saying that this is like amazing compared to the other ones, yikes.
They're on crack.
Yeah.
They're on crack. Or lying.
Oh, man. So with that being said, let us know in the comments below if you've seen these episodes, what you think about them. And we'll be back next week for another review. And make sure you go check out Gronk and Gaming. Their link will be in the description. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you next week. Bye.
Cheers.